Alrighty. Yeah, okay. Just tell my story about my mental health challenges and what I've learnt on the way. So I was 19 years old when I first experienced my mental health and really noticed that potentially something wasn't right in the way that I was feeling. At 19, I was very actively involved in sport. Had a girlfriend, had a lot of friends. Was probably always seen to be the life of the party. But behind closed doors, I was struggling quite a lot, and it really started out with my sleeping patterns. So I was really struggling to sleep. Every time my head hit the pillow, it was the anxiety, my mind just rushing, just not being able to switch off, and that led to then the poor sleep patterns. And from there it really, I suppose, took a bit of a downward spiral. My physical appearance started to change. For a way that I was, I suppose, coping through all of this was I started to develop some unhealthy coping behaviours. So my diet was horrible. I ended up putting on quite a lot of weight. I was using alcohol as a means for escape. And as I said, that really ties into being the life of the party. Everyone used to think I was just this happy, fun, centre of attention type of person, when behind closed doors it was not like that. And what I found was, when I was using alcohol as a means for escape, the hangovers were so much worse than normal, and it got to a point where, again, the sleep was struggling. But when I finally did get to sleep, I would wake up in tears, and that for me was not a very pleasant or enjoyable time. It took the girlfriend I had probably to notice that, and suggest that I go off and seek some help. So I went to the doctors, and I was lucky enough that my mum was able to come along with me. And in that space there, I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. So stressed out with work. I was so stressed out with life, and trying to please people, that I didn't really realise at the time how much of a toll it took, until I really got into that doctor's office, and having those conversations with the GP really opened things up. And they asked me a series of questions. They asked, how's your sleep been? I said, it's been shit house. How's your attention been? I said, it's not there. How's your motivation? And I didn't have any. I didn't want to do anything that I was doing for fun before. I didn't enjoy going to football training anymore. I didn't enjoy the Saturday nights of having just a couple of beers with my mates, because all of a sudden it wouldn't just be a couple of beers. It was way over the top, and that binge type drinking was really there. And when I was in that doctor's suite, or doctor's office, I remember that they asked me a question, and it was around, had I had any suicidal thoughts. And that there, when you're in a room with people that love you, my mum was there, and to answer honestly, it's hard. And I'd never gone any further than the thoughts, but they'd certainly crossed my mind. And my mum broke down then, and I broke down as well. And when you're in that space, you don't think of the impact that you have on other people, and how loved you are, because you feel so isolated and so lonely. And I think that certainly going to the doctors that point was probably the first step in me trying to get better. And I'm so glad I did, because that realization of, I've got the love and support of my parents, but also that I wasn't healthy with what I was doing and how I was coping and how I was going through and handling my mental health, that something needed to change. So from that point, I went and saw a psych. But again, I was 19 years old, and I didn't really think that mental health was something that had to be continuously worked on. I thought it was just go get your 10 free sessions, and you'd be cured, and you complete your mental health plan, and you're going to be fine for life. And that certainly wasn't the case. I got to a point where I was just trying to tick my sessions off, like homework. I've got 3 to go, I've got 2 to go, I've got 1 to go. I'm finally done. I'm fixed. I'm cured. And leaving that doctor's suite, or the psych's office, then I walked out of there feeling fantastic. I was able to talk to someone. I was able to get a lot off my chest. And again, thinking I was fixed. My mental health was going to be fine for the rest of my life. Thinking I was set, and obviously, as we know, it doesn't work like that. Your mental health you can be on top of the world one day and feel absolutely rock bottom the next. So, and that's something at 19 years old I didn't understand. I probably, going forward, fast forwarding a few years, I ended up heavily involved with the football club, and then decided to leave. We just wanted to play some senior football, and I think what I didn't realise at the time, and where I went, I certainly developed some close friends and friends I've still got today. But the club that I was at was always my home, and when I left that club, I certainly left my community. Now, for community, it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people, but to me, community is anyone around you who fills your cup. So for me, that was my support network. There was people I played with since under nines in football, and they were people I considered, best friends and family. And I think the other thing that we don't really understand with community is that, and certainly in local sports, and this is the power of it, you have so much in common with these people, and it's whether it's simply just the love of the game or the love of the club, you turn up every week and you get to see your best friends 3 times a week without really trying. You rock up to training and they're going to be there, and that's such a special thing about local sporting communities. And when I'd left that community, I'd left that. And again, 23, 24 years old, I probably didn't really understand the implications of that, or the fact that now I had to make an effort. Now I had to make an effort to see my friends 3 times a week if I wanted to keep up that kind of level of friendship, and I didn't do it. Mainly because I was worried that, I'm such a people pleaser that maybe I thought that they would hate me for leaving. So what I did in turn was I really isolated myself. And whenever they'd invite me somewhere, I would go, but I'd be so anxious at going and thinking about what they were going to say about me or to me, or get into me because I don't play footy with them anymore, that, eventually I just got so inside my own head I didn't want to go anymore. And when you say no to a couple of events, the invites stop coming because they think that you've got the problem with them, and that wasn't the case at all. I was just so scared about how they were potentially going to treat me, and a lot of, they were all fine, but in my own head, that was my anxiety kicking in there. So, I've always come from a loving family and a great friendship group, but I don't think I ever felt so alone at that point right there, and it led to an incident which I always describe as my rock bottom, where I had a pretty difficult choice to make. And like I said before, when you're in that moment, it's so hard to think about how loved you are. It's so hard to think about how many people are around you, because you do feel so isolated. And in your own mind, you're telling yourself that you're not worthy. You're telling yourself that you're alone. You're telling yourself that no one cares. And that's hard. That's hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to get through. But you need people around you. You need the support around you, and that's what I had. I have had a girlfriend at the time who's now my wife. Incredible support. My family, absolutely incredible support. And realising that you need those people around you is so important, and communicating with them as well. I was able to open up and reach out for help, and that process started again of when I was 19, and in the doctor's office it started again. I went back there and said, look, I'm not going well. I need help. And again, those conversations started. How's your sleep been? It's been horrible. It's been shit house. How's your concentration been? It's not there. How's your motivation? I don't have any. The things that I used to do for fun, I no longer want to do because I don't enjoy them anymore. And that process came again, and that question came again. Have you had any suicidal thoughts? And this time, I'd taken it, my mindset had taken it further than just the thoughts. And again, being honest in that room at that time, and opening up and being able to be real with the people that were there, and saying yes. And again, the emotion in the room and realising you are loved and the world's a better place with you in it. And from there again, really reiterated the fact that I needed help. So I went and saw a psych again for my 10 sessions, and this time I didn't want to tick them off like homework. I wanted to extend them. I wanted to get as much out of it as I could. From that point, it became about, well, what are my negative coping mechanisms, like my drinking, like my gambling? like staying out all weekend, then what are your positive coping mechanisms? Well, it's your time with your friends, it's your time with your family, it's your time in a community that you enjoy. But it's beyond that. It's the meditation, it's the journaling, it's those things that when you're in your own head that help you get out of it. And those things all helped me. I ended up finding myself back at my community, at my sporting club, at my family. And it feels like I've never left. It feels like that support that I've got around me, and that's what I want to still instill for the next generation coming through, that, you know, these sporting clubs are so powerful because when we're here, we're there so much, we dedicate so much of our time, effort and life to these sporting environments. So why not make it the best place that you can? Why not, when you walk into a room, say good day to absolutely every person you can think of in that room, or every person you can see in that room, because you might be the only person that's spoken to them today. And giving them a hug or a high five, or even saying good day, it might mean the absolute world to them. It might make them feel inclusive. It might make them play again next year when they were potentially going to stop playing sport altogether and isolate themselves. I mean, that's just the power of sport. That's the power of community. And to me, that's why I do what I do. That's why I love this job. That's why I love getting out to local sporting communities and telling my story and giving education and tools, because when I grew up, that wasn't around. That education wasn't there. So when I was going through my challenges, I felt so lonely, so isolated. I felt like I was different because I was going through a mental health challenge, but the stats say that so many people go through it. And what we do, it helps people. It really does. You get people coming up after the session thanking you for sharing their story because they've gone through something similar, or they know someone who's going through something similar. And giving them the tools to help, it's just so important. And I absolutely love what we do at Outside the Locker Room. I think we've impacted positively so many lives. And at the end of the day, that's all we want to do. We just want to help people and we just want to support people.